So this is the start of the process. With the seats in the M3, the Vader seats as they are called, they are very, very badly cracked on the bolsters on the driver's seat, on the side and on the back. So the preparation by Leatherique, it's a 4-step process. The first step of the process is to use a rejuvenator. Now that soaks into the leather and makes it supple and gets oils back into it. You have to do that over about a week. You put on 4 coats, you rub it on by hand. With the palm of your hand, you just rub it all over the seats. I did the entire interior of the car, all the seats. The leather dye is specially made to the colour. So to do that, I had to post off to Sydney, the head office, one of the headrests, so that they could match exactly the dye colour. So posted that off to Sydney, they made up the dye and then sent it back to me. After it's rejuvenated, it sits for a period of a couple of days, then there's a cleanse product that cleans off all the surface of the leather, because all the dirt and stuff comes to the surface after the rejuvenation. So you clean that off. Then you have to get rid of all the old dye on the areas that you're going to re-dye. So you have to use a solvent and fine sandpaper and actually sand it off. Now that's a really, really scary process. I've read so much about it, looked at YouTube videos, read again, looked at more YouTube videos before I actually did the sanding. But once you get into it, there's no going back, so off you go. So after that, you then do the crack filler. As I said before, the crack filler goes on. Before you put it on, you mix some of the dye into the crack filler, because it's white. You mix the dye into the crack filler, then you spread it on with a very a fine cotton bud thing, and then scrape it flat, let it dry, and then fine sand that, again using a little bit of solvent to get into all the cracks. Let that dry, and that brings us to the stage where we are now, dyeing. Eat, drink and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. This is the 4th stage and the final stage, and the most critical point is actually dyeing the leather. I've prepped it over a period of 2 weeks, and now I'm about to put on the dye. Oh my God, let's hope it works. Okay. So the first stage of the process is to mix up the dye. There are pigments in it, so it really has to be shaken a lot, and then decanted into a container. And because as the process happens, you need to stir the pigments because various colours and it's going everywhere. Take it easy, Gary. Just going to make sure I get all the bits out of the bottom, and then it's applied by using a sponge. And this is the special Leatherique, the optional Leatherique dyeing dispenser. Right, the next stage is to moisten a cloth, and make a pad. Right, now we fold the pad, fold the cloth into a pad. Notice the colour? Yes, I see. Oh, not that I'm anal or anything, no. Yes, anyway, so we're into a pad. Now, one final last little stir to make sure that that's all good. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. So, yes. Now we've relocated to make sure you can see. Okay, this is it. Damp cloth. Into the dye, and off we go. Little light strokes, 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 light strokes, little light strokes, light strokes, light strokes, light strokes, little light strokes, little strokes. Now, just another little mix, because, oh wow, yeah. They talk about the pigments floating to the top. Yes, it was all this little light blue floating on top of the go down the side, come around here. Okay, so now what we'll do is we need to wait for an hour for that one to dry before we continue on. I'll just now do this side bolster. Little light strokes, little light strokes. As you can see, it's covering up that light blue muck is like a putty, but it's a special crack filler. So I'd sanded all the old dead leather where it's all cracked, taken off, removed the dye, and then mixed up this special Leatherique crack filler and mixed some of this dye into it because it's bright white, it's really white. So they suggest that you put some of the dye into the crack filler just to make it a little bit blue to match the seats. And Bob's your auntie. So here we go. Okay, so there we go. Coat number one. Now we sit and wait and have another cup of coffee. Thank you to my assistant camera person. Well, my camera person. Thank you. So, a few hours later, this is about 5 coats so far. So 5 hours. You can see the side bolster, the back is really good. The base bolster, there's still a little bit of the crack filler showing, but and the side of the back bolster isn't too bad, but it wasn't damaged very much at all. You can see down the back side bolster there, that's really come together well, and the base, just incredible compared to what it was. Stitching suffered a little bit from the sanding, so that was a bit of a problem, but fantastic.